Your mother-in-law holds them, and they're fine. The babysitter has them for 4 hours, and they're apparently delightful. The nursery worker picks them up, and they settle immediately. And then you walk in the door, and your baby who was supposedly totally fine, falls completely apart, and you stand there, exhausted, and think, what is wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why does this keep happening with me? I want to tell you right now, before anything else, nothing is wrong, and you are not doing anything wrong. What is happening is one of the most well-documented phenomena in developmental psychology, and the explanation for it is something that most parents never hear. Your baby cries more with you than with anyone else, because you are the most important person in their world. And I do not mean that as a comforting platitude. I mean it as precise neuroscience. The reason your baby falls apart when they are with you, specifically with you, not with others, is rooted in how the attachment system works, how the brain processes safety, and what crying actually is in the context of a secure relationship. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this happens, the biology behind it, the attachment theory behind it, and the research that explains it. And you will never look at your baby's tears in your arms the same way again. Let's start with the question nobody asks. What is crying actually for? What crying actually is, most parents think of crying as distress, as something going wrong, as a problem to be solved. And sometimes it is. But crying in the context of a secure attachment relationship is something much more complex and much more important than distress alone. Crying is communication. It is your baby's primary language, their only reliable tool for signaling need, seeking proximity, and expressing an emotional state that has no other outlet. And critically, crying is not distributed equally across your baby's relationships. It is directed. Your baby does not cry the same way, or with the same frequency, or for the same reasons with every person in their life. Mary Ainsworth, whose strange situation research in the 1960s and 1970s became the foundation of modern attachment theory, observed something that every parent since has experienced but almost none have had explained to them. She documented, in her naturalistic observations of infants in Uganda, that babies who were hungry, tired, ill, or alarmed directed most of their attachment behavior toward the mother if she was available. And this is the crucial detail: Uganda infants ordinarily cried when their mother left the room, whereas they did not cry when other caregivers departed. Let that land for a moment. When other caregivers left, the babies did not cry. When their mother left, they did. Not because they were more upset by her absence in a negative sense, but because she was the person their nervous system had designated as the primary source of safety. She was the one whose absence mattered. She was the one whose presence their whole system was organized around. Your baby cries more with you for the same reason. You are that person. The attachment hierarchy, why your baby has a favorite. John Bowlby, the British psychiatrist who developed attachment theory in the mid-20th century, made a discovery that was considered radical at the time. Infants are not born blank. They are born with a biological program, an evolutionary drive to form a primary attachment bond with one main caregiver. Bowlby called this monotropy. The idea that while babies can and do form bonds with multiple people, there is a hierarchy. A primary attachment figure, usually the person who provides the most consistent, responsive, emotionally available care in the early months, who occupies a unique position in the baby's nervous system that no other relationship holds. This primary attachment figure serves two specific functions. The first is what Bowlby called the safe haven. When the baby is frightened, hurt, tired, overwhelmed, or distressed, they turn to this person for comfort and protection. This is the function that is activated when your baby cries and reaches for you. The second function is the secure base. When the baby feels safe enough, when the primary attachment figure is present and available, they can move away, explore, play, engage with others. The security of the attachment is the launching pad for curiosity and independence. Here is the implication of this that most parents never hear stated plainly. With other caregivers, the babysitter, the grandmother, the nursery worker, your baby is largely in secure base mode. They explore, they play, they engage, they manage. They don't need to cry because the environment feels manageable and the stakes feel lower. But the moment you walk through the door, something shifts. The primary attachment system activates. Every need that was being managed, every feeling that was being held at bay, every moment of missing you, of wanting you, of needing the person who is their entire emotional world. All of it comes forward at once. Not because you have done something wrong, because your presence has made it safe enough to feel. Your baby doesn't fall apart when you arrive. Your baby finally lets go when you arrive. Those are not the same thing, and the difference between them is everything. The neuroscience, what happens in your baby's brain when you walk and let me take you inside your baby's brain during this moment. Because what happens neurologically when their primary attachment figure appears is not simply an emotional event. It is a physiological cascade. Your baby's brain, from the earliest weeks of life, is learning to recognize you specifically, not just as a person, as a category of safety. Your voice, your smell, your face, the particular quality of your touch, these have been registered and stored in the deepest, oldest parts of the brain, in structures that predate language and conscious thought by millions of years of evolution. Research published in Current Biology confirms what Bowlby theorized decades earlier. Mother-infant bonding is the earliest and most critical social relationship of mammalian infants, and infants have innate behaviors to seek maternal proximity and protest upon separation through vocalization and movement. The crying is not random, it is biologically targeted. It is directed at you, specifically, because you are the person the nervous system has learned to associate with resolution of distress. And here is the neurochemistry behind why your presence specifically triggers that release. Research published in Nature in 2023 identified the precise neural circuit through which infant cries trigger oxytocin release in mothers. When your baby cries, oxytocin neurons in your hypothalamus activate not in response to any sound, but specifically in response to your baby's cry. And those same oxytocin systems are active in your baby when they are with you. Oxytocin does something specific in this context. It lowers the threshold for emotional expression. It makes the baby more sensitive to connection and more communicative about need. When your baby is with a less familiar caregiver, the oxytocin bond is less active, and so the emotional expression is more contained. When you arrive, the system activates, and everything your baby was containing comes forward. Mothers produce substantial amounts of oxytocin during birth, during breastfeeding, and during physical contact with their baby. Research shows that oxytocin makes parents specifically more sensitive to their baby's cries, with response times almost twice as fast as responses to most other sounds. Your baby's cry and your response to it are part of a reciprocal biological system that has been refined by millions of years of evolution. You are biologically tuned to each other in a way that simply does not exist with any other caregiver. What the crying actually means, 5 things your baby is saying. So, if the crying is not a sign that something is wrong, what is it? Let me give you 5 specific things your baby's tears in your arms are actually communicating, because understanding each of them will change how you receive them. The first thing your baby is saying is, "I missed you." This sounds simple, and it is. But the emotional and neurological reality of it is profound. For the time you were away, your baby's nervous system was operating without its primary regulator. The experience of missing you is real and physiological, not just emotional. When you return, the release of that accumulated tension is what you experience as crying. It is not a complaint about your absence. It is the body's way of processing the reunion. The second thing your baby is saying is, "I'm safe enough now to feel this." With other caregivers, your baby holds it together, not because they are fine, because they have to be. Their nervous system knows, at a body level, that the person who can really help is not there. So it does what it needs to do to manage. The moment you arrive, the management is no longer necessary. The tears are the release of what was being held. The third thing your baby is saying is, "I trust you with my worst moments." This is the most important one. Babies, like all humans, do not show their full emotional range to people they are not certain about. They save their hardest feelings, the deepest hunger, the most acute loneliness, the most overwhelming tiredness for the person they trust most completely. The fact that your baby cries the hardest and most honestly with you is evidence of the most profound form of trust a human being is capable of. The fourth thing your baby is saying is, "I need you to co-regulate me." Your baby's HPA axis, the stress response system, is not yet capable of self-regulation. As I discussed in a previous video, Your baby literally outsources their stress regulation to you. When they cry in your arms, they are initiating the co-regulation process. They are not asking you to make the feeling stop immediately. They are asking you to be present with them in the feeling until their nervous system can settle. Your calm is the medicine. Your presence is the intervention. And the fifth thing your baby is saying, the one that might surprise you most, is, "This relationship is working." Sylvia Bell and Mary Ainsworth at Johns Hopkins found in their foundational research that babies whose caregivers consistently responded quickly and warmly to their cries cried less by the end of the first year, not more. The secure relationship does not produce more crying over time. It produces less. But in the early months, the intensity of crying with the primary caregiver is itself evidence that the attachment is forming as it should. Your baby cries with you because the bond is real. The counterintuitive truth about who your baby cries with there is a finding in the attachment literature that most parents find genuinely surprising when they first encounter it, and it reframes the entire experience of being the person your baby cries for. Across cultures, across caregiving arrangements, across different family structures, wherever researchers have studied infant attachment, the same pattern appears. When a baby is in a situation of moderate stress and both parents are present, they consistently choose the primary attachment figure. Not because the other parent is less loved or less important, because the attachment hierarchy activates specifically under stress, specifically in service of the need for safety. This means something that most parents misread entirely. When your baby is perfectly content with the babysitter and falls apart with you, it is not a referendum on your parenting. It is a signal about your relationship. The babysitter is not better at calming your baby. The babysitter is simply not triggering the attachment system because the attachment system is not primarily organized around the babysitter. It is organized around you. There is a beautiful way to think about this that I want to offer you. A secure relationship is not one in which the baby never cries. A secure relationship is one in which the baby cries specifically with the person who can help most. The crying is targeting the right person. That is the attachment system working exactly as it was designed to work. Researchers at the University of Ottawa published findings in 2025 examining preschoolers' crying behavior across relationships. What they found confirmed what infant researchers have documented for decades. The intensity of crying with a particular caregiver is deeply tied to the quality and primacy of that attachment relationship. Children cry most with the people they are most attached to, under conditions of moderate stress, not because the relationship is failing, but because it is the relationship their system most trusts to provide a response. What this means for how you respond, so knowing all of this, knowing that your baby's tears in your arms are evidence of trust, of safety, of a relationship working as it should, what does it change practically? The first thing it changes is what you do with the guilt. The guilt that tells you the babysitter is better at this than you are. The guilt that tells you something is broken in how you parent. That guilt is based on a misreading of the data. The data is telling you the opposite. Your baby saves their hardest feelings for you because you are the person they trust to hold them. That is not a failure. That is the entire goal of attachment parenting. The second thing it changes is how you receive the crying itself. Instead of experiencing it as a problem you need to solve immediately, as evidence of your inadequacy or your baby's distress about you, you can begin to receive it as communication. Your baby is not falling apart. Your baby is catching you up. They are transferring to you the emotional weight of the time you were apart, trusting you, only you, to help them carry it. And the research on what helps in those moments is consistent and simple, not techniques, not distraction. Presence. The Bell and Ainsworth research found that the single most powerful predictor of less crying over time was the caregiver's consistent, prompt, warm response to crying. Not a perfect response, a consistent one. The baby who learns that their cries bring you reliably, not just sometimes, not just when it's convenient, is the baby who eventually cries less because they have learned that the system works. That need brings response, that you come. You don't have to know what to say. You don't have to fix it. You just have to arrive. Put your hands on them. Let your nervous system do what it was built to do, regulate theirs. The crying will settle. It always does. And what remains after it settles is something no babysitter, no grandmother, no nursery worker can build in quite the same way. The felt, body-level knowledge in your baby that you are their safe place. So here is what we know. Your baby cries more with you than with anyone else because you are their primary attachment figure, because their nervous system is biologically organized around you, because the oxytocin bond between you is unlike anything that exists in their other relationships, because they trust you with their hardest feelings in a way they trust no one else, and because your presence makes it safe enough to let go of everything they have been holding. The babysitter's ease with your baby is not a mirror of your relationship with your baby. It is the absence of one. A deep relationship, the deepest relationship your baby has ever had or will have for years, brings with it the full weight of need, trust, and emotional expression. That weight is not a burden, it is an honor. Ainsworth's research showed us that the babies who cry most intensely with their primary caregiver in the early months are not the babies who end up most distressed. They are the babies who are building the most secure attachment, the foundation that will, in time, make them more confident, more emotionally regulated, more able to form secure relationships of their own. Your baby does not cry more with you because something is wrong between you. Your baby cries more with you because everything is right. The next time you walk through the door and they fall apart in your arms, take a breath, put your hands on them, and know what you are actually holding. A baby who loves you more than they love anything in the world, trusting you with the most honest thing they have. If this video gave you something, a new way of seeing those tears, a moment of recognition, a relief that settled something you have been carrying, share it with a parent who needs to hear it. Because too many parents are sitting with guilt about the very thing that proves their baby is securely attached to them. I'll see you in the next one.